I have come to speak to you about the Garden of the Hesperides, of the marvelous Elysium fields, where the rivers of the pure water of life spring milk and honey. I come to speak to you about the biblical Moses. The tradition says that on the Mount Nebo he spoke to the Jewish multitudes. His face shone tremendously before the whole Hebrew people, and afterwards he disappeared in the presence of all of them. His body was never found. Obviously, Moses had obtained access to the promised land, and he did it with his physical body. What does Gnosis want? To teach you the path that will lead you to the terrestrial paradise. We have methods, we have the key so you can visit the terrestrial paradise each time you want. To this I have come tonight, to speak to you frankly. If the truth is what you want, we are passing it to you. But first of all, we have to be sincere with ourselves. Let us think about that island in front of the Spanish coast that caught the attention of the Catholic clergy in the 18th century. I am talking emphatically about the Non Trabada, or Veiled, an island located 40 leagues from the island of Palma in the northeast region. This island was visible. The giants walked everywhere. The gods made thunder and lightning, and it is said that the multitudes that lived there were terribly divine. Yes, on that island lived under the light of the sun the divine humanity. From there they contemplated the stars and made extraordinary calculations like the ones made by the astrologers of the ancient Atlantis. From this island they made their prophecies. The inhabitants of the Non Trabada knew very well that an epoch of the most crude materialism was coming. One day a Catholic priest, while officiating the Mass, was astonished. A devotee had to speak about the Non Trabada, or Veiled, island. The priest immediately, talking to the clergy, said, "We have to exorcise this island. We can see it through the window. It is a magical island, demoniac." So everybody kneeled down, assisting the priest in his exorcisms. The island disappeared little by little among the extraordinary enchantment of the fourth vertical. Later, the disgusting materialistic atheism appeared. The Huxleys, the Darwins, and many others, enemies of the eternal, appeared. It was then when humanity became totally skeptic, incredulous, materialistic, and unfortunately the senses of the alive creatures drained off. The veiled, or non trabada, was no longer visible. Since then, skepticism and incredulity are inherited from father to children. The inner senses are destroyed. People cannot see the enchanted lakes of the ancient times, cannot contemplate the palaces of gold that are described in the tales of the 1001 Nights, cannot see the tempestuous oceans that exist within our world. The centuries have passed by, and the children are not educated with fairy tales anymore. It is said that we have to be practical, and from the first years of childhood they are taught to use pistols. They receive cannons as gifts and are distracted with games of thefts and bandits. Today, dear friends, humanity has degenerated frightfully. The physical senses have become ruined. Rare to find somebody that has perfect sight or hearing, sense of smell, etc. People have involutioned and go toward a huge world war. In truth, I want to say to you that nothing will last of this perverse civilization. Not even the stones will survive. I will continue my explanation about the jinns, about the worlds of the 1001 Nights, about the extraordinary lands of the fourth vertical. Here in Mexico, in the very capital, we have the temple of Chapultepec, a temple in Jinn state, a temple where the wisdom of our ancestors of Anahuac is cultivated, a temple where the Aztec calendar of pure gold shines over the blessed cross of the world's Savior. That temple is in a state of Jinn. It is invisible, but visible to the initiates. I am an active member of that temple, which exists and will continue existing, and never will somebody be able to discover it. There also are many other jinn temples where the flag of gnosis is active, other extraordinary and divine temples where shines the inner Christ. So, my dear friends, as one advances, we realize what the fourth vertical is. In these times, the Bermuda Triangle is very known. More than 100 ships have disappeared into the fourth vertical in the Bermuda Triangle. Not long ago, a squadron of 5 planes was devoured by the Bermuda Triangle. They were swallowed by the fourth vertical. Rescue teams were sent, but it was useless. Let us remember the rescue plane that went in search of these 5 planes. That plane was swallowed by the fourth vertical. What could we say about the innumerable passengers that no longer live over the face of Earth, but that continue living in the fourth coordinate? We investigated the Bermuda Triangle. In that zone, there is a tunnel open to the fourth dimension. The day will come when humanity will know that secret, the code that exists in the Bermuda Triangle. According to the passing of time, science will have to become closer to the fourth dimension. That is obvious. The men of ancient times did not ignore the lost paradise of John Milton. They never forgot the Garden of Hesperides. Still exists in the traditions the presence of a paradise. The men of ancient times knew how to put their physical body within the fourth dimension voluntarily. It comes to my memory the science of Kung Fu that in the past was esoteric and magic. The initiates in the science of Kung Fu in ancient China could take the physical form of a tiger or a serpent, etc., voluntarily. Let us remember, my friends, that legend that exists in our country about the famous Nahuales. Undoubtedly, there are 2 Nahualisms, and this is known by the investigators of the esoteric Christic science. The negative one is formed by the black jinns, by the tenebris of the left hand. But the positive flow is formed, as a matter of fact, by the white jinns that do not cause damage to anyone. Those creatures, like the Tuatha De Danann, are just concerned with the study of the divine wisdom, in the healing and blessing. In ancient times, in the times of the 1001 Nights, in the country of Mecca, where exist some Semitic tribes hidden within the earth, the key that allowed penetration into the unknown dimension was known. Impossible, will say some of you. How can it be possible that the human body could penetrate into the unknown dimension? Friends, as a matter of fact, the physical body is not what some ignorant scientists believe. The physical body is a mental form crystallized, as well the planet Earth. Therefore, the willpower can act over the physical body, changing its form or placing it into the fourth dimension. The day we accept the physical body is a mental form, obviously we will have resolved the problem of the fourth dimension. The entire Earth is just a mental form that surged from the Omeokan, from the very navel of the universe in the dawn of creation. That mental form called Earth crystallized little by little to finally take its actual form. The crystallization was attained according to the law of octaves. As a matter of fact, the day will come when this Earth, or the mental form called Earth, will initiate a movement inwards and upwards to finally lose itself or to dissolve itself once again in the Omeokan. The human body is a mental form crystallized, and all the secret of the jinns consists in knowing how to act over the human physical body using the willpower. If we accept that it is a form of the mind, a crystallized form, then we are on the correct way to act over the physical body and to place it into the unknown dimension. Is this possible? Yes, it is possible. All that one needs is willpower and imagination, united in vibrant harmony. Through that path, we will reach the final success. Let us remember that within ourselves there exists the 12 disciples who are mentioned by the Christian Bible. Let us remember that there also exists within ourselves the famous Philip who baptized the eunuch and that later disappeared, taken by the hurricane of the storm. That Philip has powers over the physical form, which, as I said, is a crystallized mental form. If somebody has faith in Philip, he will be able to put his physical body into the fourth dimension. I am not talking about the historic Philip. I am not talking about that serene mystic that appeared and disappeared like by magical enchantment. I am talking about the internal Philip. It happens that the 12 apostles, the 12 fundamental parts of our being, are within ourselves, and one of them is called Philip. If someone invokes his own Philip in the moment of dozing, he will attain extraordinary prodigies. It would be enough to get up from his bed in the opportune moment, in the moments in which one feels fat, obese, referring to the sensation of being full of spiritual energy. In the moments in which one is in a state of extraordinary spiritual voluptuousness, and with faith in Philip, getting up, he would immediately penetrate the Garden of Hesperides, the terrestrial paradise. But it is necessary to comprehend that the physical body is a machine, a mental form that can be used to pass from one dimension to another. When one accepts that the body is a mental form, then that mental form obeys. But meanwhile, we are identified with that form. Obviously, it will never be possible to penetrate the lands of the 1001 Nights, where live in majestic manner the Moses, the Tuatha De Danann, and all of those ineffable beings of the ancient times. So, my dear friends, tonight I have come to talk to you about the lands of the jinns, of the enchanting paradises, of the holy places where all of us can live. In this time, people, planes, ships have disappeared. They have been swallowed by the fourth dimension. However, humanity seems not to realize that one can live happily in the superior dimensions, or at least visit those dimensions to fill our hearts with blissfulness. Extraordinary and unusual events are coming. Precisely in these moments, Earth is almost on the point of entering into the majestic belt of Alcyone. My friends, you have to understand, we are inhabitants of the Pleiades, and that this sun that illuminates us and gives life is one of the 7 suns of the Pleiades. Those 7 suns revolve around Alcyone. Alcyone has rings like those of Saturn, but radioactive, not just chemical-physical as the rings of Saturn. Every 10,000 years, Earth has to pass through the rings of Alcyone, and now is on the point of entering them. Since February 4th, 1962, between 2 and 3 p.m., we have been getting closer to the rings of Alcyone. It is a radioactive ring that brings many surprises to the men of jinn science. Incredible things will be seen at the moment when Earth enters into the ring of Alcyone. All the matter will become phosphorescent, and the molecules will alter their movement. Therefore, the mathematical formulas in the field of biology, chemistry, and physics will be altered. Medicine will have to change its formulas because they will be useless. New species of animals will appear, and this is something unavoidable. Matter will be strongly radioactive. Many people will not resist the radiation of the Alcyone's ring and will die. I repeat, we are about to enter in that ring. As a matter of fact, if the sun enters first, there will be darkness that will last for 110 hours. If Earth enters first into the ring of Alcyone, it will happen that Earth will seem to be burning, but it will only be fires of colors. Earth can enter any time into the ring of Alcyone. We travel through the unalterable infinite on this earth, and obviously there will be unusual events that will even amaze the scientists. Not long ago, some astronauts saw an extraordinary radiation and communicated that information to their base. It was the radiation of Alcyone. As a matter of fact, a long day is coming that will last for 2,000 years. This means that night will disappear, and the luminous radiation of Alcyone will penetrate all the tenebrous caverns of Earth and cover the planet everywhere, shining miraculously. Its emanations will amaze the people of other inhabited worlds of the unalterable infinite. In this manner will come the marvelous resplendence of the stars that will come accompanied by the melodies of the macrocosm. Very soon, a strange world will appear. That world is called Earth. It is good to understand that extraordinary events are coming. Before the great coming catastrophe, Earth will have to enter in the ring of Alcyone. We travel through the unalterable infinite on this Earth, and obviously there will be unusual events that will even amaze the scientists. Not long ago, some astronauts saw an extraordinary radiation and communicated that information to their base. It was the radiation of Alcyone. As a matter of fact, a very long day, which will last 2,000 years, is coming. This means that night will disappear, and the luminous radiation of Alcyone will penetrate all the tenebrous caverns of Earth and cover the planet everywhere, shining miraculously. Its emanations will amaze the people of other inhabited worlds of the unalterable infinite. In this manner will come the marvelous resplendence of the stars, which will come accompanied by the melodies of the macrocosm. Very soon, a strange world will appear. That world is called Earth. It is good to understand that extraordinary events are coming. Before the great coming catastrophe, Earth will have to enter in the ring of Alcyone. As a matter of fact, our world would not have any base if the fourth dimension would not exist. That fourth dimension where still live many Elohim that work for humanity, that help the human beings. Friends, this sun that illuminates and gives life to us, this sun that shines in the space with its infinite splendors, is not all. Beyond that sun is the spiritual sun, the sun of the Pleiades. Our Earth revolves around the seventh sun of the Pleiades. This means, my dear friends, that in truth we are inhabitants of the Pleiades. In the entire incommensurable infinite there exists Pleiades, which are visible by the astronomers and their telescopes, and we, the inhabitants of Earth, live in a small, insignificant world called Earth that revolves around the seventh sun of the Pleiades. And a sun which is located in the fourth vertical, the spiritual sun of the Pleiades, is the one that governs us. Therefore, our world is governed from the fourth vertical, but it is not the only one. This includes all the Pleiades. There also exists another sun that we have to comprehend. I am talking about the central sun. That central sun, which directs all the activities of this spiral galaxy, is full of ineffable splendors and unfolds itself within this extraordinary cosmos. Obviously, all the galaxies revolve around the central sun Sirius. We do not deny that. We do not deny that the regents of this constellation live in that world either. As a matter of fact, in last synthesis, the entire Milky Way is governed by the central sun, which is a spiritual sun, a not physical sun. You can observe that there are worlds, suns, that are not located in this three-dimensional region of Euclid. What could we say about the central spiritual sun? We well know that all of these galaxies are governed by the central spiritual sun. There exists an infinite. We do not deny it. However, this splendid and marvelous infinite where we live, move, and have our being has a limit. Let us remember when Einstein said, "The space is curve," when he said the infinite has a limit. Certainly, this infinite has 100,000 galaxies approximately, and each galaxy about 100,000 suns. However, all this infinite where we live and have our being has a limit. Much beyond that limit there is an empty space, and much beyond that empty space there is another infinite, and much beyond that infinite there is another empty space, and this is forever after. My friends, you have to understand that all this unlimited infinite where we live and have our being is governed by the central spiritual sun, by the sacred sun absolute, which is not physical. In that sun live the divine intelligences that govern the cosmic space. So as a matter of fact, he that learns to place his physical body in the Garden of Hesperides will be able to verify by himself and directly the existence of those majestic suns that illuminate extraordinarily the unlimited space. He that learns to travel with his physical body in jinn state will be able to meet with the ineffable gods of the aurora of Mahammanvantara. He that learns to travel with his physical body will be able to speak face to face with the Elohim, with the Prajapatis, with the Rishis of the ancient Vedas. He that learns to travel with his physical body will be able to contact our Lord Quetzalcoatl and to verify by himself that Quetzalcoatl is a Platonic logos, is the Greek demiurge, is the verb, the word. Precisely, John in his Gospel says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made." The time for you to fight in order to escape from this three-dimensional world of Euclid, where only prevailed the bitterness, has come. The moment for you to learn to visit the Elysium fields has arrived, so you at the feet of the Master could listen the lost word of the first instant. The time for you has come to know again the mysteries of the ancient Mexico, and the wisdom of the Elysian mysteries, and the divine and heroic flow which spring in the ancient mysteries of the Rishis in India. Friends, everywhere shines extraordinarily the spiritual sun. Remember that the physical body is just a mental form. Learn how to use that mental form to place it in different locations voluntarily, to move as the Tuatha De Danann used to in the ancient Eleusis over the majestic oceans of the fourth dimension. Friends, the time has come to know the genius of Earth, that extraordinary Melchizedek that governs our world. One day, if you learn to manage the jinn science, you will be able to enter into the earth. Afterwards, you will verify directly that earth is hollow. You will also know many survivors from Lemuria and Atlantis, venerable ancients that cultivated the divine mysteries in their temples, venerable priestesses that, like the Cleopatras of Nile, gave their teachings to the people who loved them. The day you were capable to enter where Melchizedek lives, you will be able to know the wisdom of the ancients. You will verify by yourselves that in other times the Hermetic wisdom shone over the face of earth. The day you were capable to visit with your physical body the interior of our world, you will be face to face with Melchizedek, King of Salem, of whom Jesus of Nazareth gives testimony, the King of our world. Some time ago, an extraordinary event happened. It was a military parade in honor of King George VI. That King George, so extraordinary in his knowledge, received a surprise. In truth, the parade was splendid, how proud he felt of the life of his empire. But something extraordinary happened. A white elephant appeared. Who was mounting that elephant? A strange Oriental personage. The troops saluted King George, and that strange rider, mounted on the elephant, led the battalions. The soldiers were not astonished. It seemed very natural, because they knew very well the life in India. In other times, that precious jewel of the Indic was just one of the territories of the English monarchy. It seemed perfectly normal to see a Hindu mounted over an elephant. But something happens. The rider does not salute King George. "What happens?" asked the king. "Who is that person?" And the answer was, "It is the genius of earth, sir." Miraculously, that monarch did not fall dismayed. The elephant disappeared as by enchantment. So, the earth has a fourth vertical and a king. The name of that king is Melchizedek, and even Jesus of Nazareth gives testimony of him. The day you were capable to manage the jinn states, that is to say, when you know how to enter into the fourth dimension, you will be able to visit the kingdom of Melchizedek. To this I have come tonight, to say to you how to do it. So I repeat the clue. Lay down with the head towards north. Afterwards, concentrate on Philip. Ask him to place you into the fourth dimension. Drowse yourselves a little bit, and when you feel the body full of extraordinary spiritual voluptuousness, when you feel fat as if you are inflated, get up from your bed begging to Philip to take you to the sacred land of the ancients, to the lost paradise of Milton, to the garden of Hesperides, where the rivers of pure water of life spring milk and honey. to the extraordinary region where live the princes of fire, of air, of the waters and earth. To this I have come tonight, to invite all of you to enter voluntarily into the lost paradise of Milton. Inverential peace, Samael Aun Weor.